And today I want to talk about shoes, specifically the shoes that I wear while I ride. The majority of my riding is gravel and cyclocross. I do very little road riding, so my shoe of choice is the Lake MX 238. Carbon sole. I use the Crankbrothers Candy 7s on my cyclocross bike / gravel bike behind me, my Kona Jake the Snake. I chose these gravel shoes because I do very little road riding. These shoes they're a lot more comfortable than the road shoes, while still being just as stiff and holding your feet in the shoe just as well as a road type shoe. For cyclocross specifically, you're always getting on and off your bike, you're running through the mud, you're running upstairs, climbing hills, jumping over barriers. So having these big grips on the bottom and these types of cleats help out a whole lot. So I chose the Crankbrothers pedals because they do have a small platform. So when you're jumping back on your bike after you hop over some barriers, even if you're not clipped in, you still have some kind of surface there to hold on to until you can get a second to clip in. But it also has a nice little gap in the center where the cleats meet that all the mud can clear out in case you are on a wet course. So that's what I use for cyclocross and gravel. For mountain biking, I use the MX 218, same carbon sole, but these on my mountain bike, I use the Shimano M540 SPD pedals and cleats. These only have one BOA and one strap, so they don't hold onto your foot as well as the other shoes that I use, but they hold on just well enough for mountain biking. Never had an issue. I've never had my foot come out of the shoe. If you do have to get off your bike and walk, you've got the grips, and then it's also the Shimano SPD. The M540s are also pretty mud clearing. Not as good as the Crankbrothers pedals, but you do still get a little bit of mud clearing there. The reason why I have two different types of pedal systems and two different types of cleats on my shoes is I just recently switched to the Crankbrother Candy pedals on my Kona. I had a pair of Look SPD pedals. They didn't work out very well. They were making tons of noise. They were squeaking like crazy. I did the maintenance on them, adjust the float, and I just couldn't get them to stop crunching and grinding and making a bunch of squeaking noise. So just chatting with a bunch of teammates, they recommended the Crankbrothers, which I've never used before. I used Shimano for years, but I was like, hey, let's give something different a try. And then I really liked the benefit of the mud clearing aspect of the Crankbrothers pedals. I left the Shimano M540s on my mountain bike just because that's kind of what was there. I almost feel like the Shimano pedals and cleats hold a little bit better than the Crankbrothers cleats. Maybe it's the type of cleat that I'm using on the Crankbrothers side with too much float, but that I can dial that later. So on the mountain bike, I think that's fine, is using the Shimano SPD 540s. Those things are bulletproof. They've been through the ringer, and I've never had any issues with them. On the Crankbrothers ones, I kind of like that they don't hold on as tight as the Shimano M540s that I use on my mountain bike. Maybe it's the cleat that I'm using and the amount of float that it has. But with cyclocross, always having to unclip, hop off your bike, do some running, jump back on your bike, and try and clip back in, I feel like that little bit of ease or a little more smoothness to the clip-in, clip-out function is greatly appreciated, and so far I'm really loving the Crankbrother Candy 7s that I'm using on my Kona. So you're probably wondering, Joe, where's your road shoes at? I don't have any. I had some. I had a road bike. I didn't race road at all. I don't race crits, so I was like, I don't need to have this carbon fiber road bike that's literally just sitting here collecting dust. So I sold off the road bike, the Power Meter pedals, and my road shoes, and just specifically stick with my Kona Jake the Snake as my all-in-one. I will switch out the chain ring depending on type of riding that I'm doing, but I stick to the gravel type shoes. And then you're probably also asking, you don't do any group rides? What about like long distance road races? You don't do any of those? Well, I do. So for group rides, I actually prefer the gravel shoe because, you know, you stop at a coffee shop, a gas station, a quickie mart, you stop to get donuts, you know, wherever you're stopping. I can walk without feeling like I'm gonna slip, I'll break my arm. Walking in SPD SLs, like the, you know, the typical like the road cleat, they're not great to walk in. So for me, you know, I don't specify anything on road, so I just stick to the gravel shoes. They're just as stiff. They're super comfortable. So yeah, that's why I stick with those. That's a little bit about my shoes, why I wear the shoes that I wear. So yes, any questions, comments, concerns, ideas, thoughts, leave them in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Subscribe if you haven't. I don't want to make any promises, but I'm going to try and put out at least one video a week. If I can't do a video, then maybe I'll do like one short a week. So that's all for now about the shoes that I use while riding. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.